There is a punch so powerful, so destructive, that can almost stop anyone, and you only have to land it one time. I'm about to take you on a deep dive into why this is every fighter's worst nightmare, and go into the knowledge about, first, its destructive power, second, how to throw it for maximum effectiveness, and then lastly, how to set it up so you can land it almost every time. You are really going to want to stick around, especially for section 2 and 3 of this video, because in section 2, I'm going to give you 14 ways to increase its power. And in section 3, I'm going to give you 7 very effective ways to set up this punch so you can land it way more than you're landing it right now. For those of you that are new to this channel, I'm Coach Keith Kepner. Not only do I tell you guys about the knowledge that I've experienced from boxing and coaching many fighters over the years, but also I pass on a very deep lineage of boxing coaching that came to me from my father, who was a professional boxing coach, and from his mentor and coach, who was Chuck Bodak, who worked with over 50 world champions and was the Olympic coach for none other than
I am the greatest,
Muhammad Ali. I've taken many fighters from complete beginners to elite levels, and I want to help you do the same. Before I got my severe injury when I was boxing in Mexico, I never got dropped from a punch.
you never got me down.
Except by this one punch that we're about to talk about. And you can see this play out all the time. Guys that are super tough, and it's almost like nothing can stop them. This is the punch that stops them. Have you guessed what this punch is yet? Well, you probably have if you've been around boxing for a while, but if you haven't, that's okay. The punch is the left hook to the body.
He told us yesterday he did not want to slug, he wanted to box, and up and down.
Oh, and there it is. Trying to keep punishing Rocky.
Oh, what an elbow of Brooks is right down there. He does not want that left to the body at all. Goes down again, right?
I see people throw the right hook, because they're typically strong with the right if they're orthodox, as hard as they can, and it can be a good punch. I've broken someone's rib with a right hook, but if you hit him with the same amount of power, or even less power, with that left hook placed on that special little organ, the liver, it's going to be drop time for your opponent. It's not about knocking the air out of people. That's a misnomer. You know, that's more of a stomach shot, things like that. Cause such intense pain and really short wire your entire body to the point where it can actually make you go unconscious. I know that sounds like a load of crap, but my dad, in his 50+ years of boxing before he passed on, he told me he actually saw this happen to someone, and it technically can happen from a blow to the liver. Now, am I saying that after this video you're going to be able to throw a punch that's going to make someone go unconscious? Well, that depends on the person. But no matter how tough that opponent is, you hit him with this body shot the way that I'm going to tell you to throw it, and the way that I'm telling you to set it up, and I can assure you that with enough practice and enough time, you can make anybody sit down with this punch.
Sit down!
All right, guys, so now we're going to jump into why you need to throw this punch. The first of 3 macro points we're going to talk about in this video. Why do you need to throw the 3 to the body, the left hook to the body more? Because guess what? You're going to land it more often than almost any other shot. You're going to land body shots more than head shots typically. Why is that? Because there are less options with the body, right? With the head, people can block. They can just slip and dip under things and, of course, use their feet. With the body, they can use their feet. They can block, but that's about it. You can't dip under a body shot, all right? It's just not really going to quite happen. So that's the first thing. You're going to land it a lot more than any other shot. And guess what? Even if you do hit an arm, it does stabilize people. That brings me to the second point. Hitting something is way better than hitting nothing. Would you agree with that? Or do we have some people that are gonna debate that one? Just kidding. But hitting something is far less energy draining and far more effective than hitting nothing. Also, we've all heard of the concepts of, over a longer fight, hitting someone's arms and, you know, wearing out those arms, of course, but even over the course of an amateur fight, hitting arms and someone at least feeling that force on their body if you're going to throw hard, which of course, you know, you need to throw hard if you want to put somebody out. Heck, man, you're going to wear out some things a little bit, and at the very least stabilize them more. You're going to freeze them up. If you're chasing after someone's head, or you feel like someone's chasing after your head, guess what? You can move your head a lot. They're going to be missing. And while they're missing, you're buying yourself time to counter. But when someone's hitting your body and they're connecting even to an arm, one is, if they're throwing hard, they're freezing that arm up for a moment. And for that moment with that arm, it's going to be hard for them to shoot a counter. Make sense? Versus, again, if they go under a shot, slip a shot, whatever, you're missed. They're not even getting touched, and they can hit you right off of that. All right, so we're freezing them up, wearing things out. We're going to land more. We're at least going to hit something more. We're not going to lose that energy, because, man, when you throw punches and miss punches that are hard, that's a huge energy drain, right? It's a lot less energy consuming to throw punches and land them. All right, and the last thing is that there are some people out there that are their head is like a block. All right, there's a certain population. All right, and I say this out of love and respect. I don't say this out of, being disrespectful to anybody. But there's certain populations out there that they have block-shaped heads, and they're very, very tough. They have thick skulls. I have a pretty thick skull too. But what I saw from my time being around and in Mexico, all those guys, they're tough as hell. They don't show up to the gym if they're not tough as hell, and they're not ready to be blood and guts and be a warrior, right? Guerrero, right? You got to remember, these guys, they can eat shots, headshots all day. That's what they're built for. They got thick jaws, everything else. And there's a lot of different populations around the entire world that are ultra tough, right? Typically, only guys with really small heads have a tougher time taking headshots. But if someone has a meaty, thick skull, typically, and they've been boxing for enough time, they can take a pretty good shot. And of course, neck, things like that go into it. Nevertheless, the reason why the left hook to the body is in some places known as the Mexican liver shot is because, guess what? In Mexico, they're all freaking tough as nails. And they know if they continue to bash each other's heads in, they're not going to get anywhere, right? They're maybe against somebody else they will, but against each other, they can go all day, punch for punch on each other's skull and go as hard as they want. And oftentimes, not much is going to happen. But this leads me back to this whole premise of this video, guys, that no matter how tough you all up here, that liver, when we hit it right and in the right way, man, it doesn't matter how tough you are. That's why guys like Mexicans build up and learn that punch to take each other out. And that's why also, it's like I remember hearing some people talk about how if you are fighting one of these tough Latin fighters, typically from Mexico, and you're just beating their head and you're not getting anywhere, take the body. And then the extra bonus point on this of why to throw it is, hey, if they ain't in good condition and you're hitting the body, of course the liver, it doesn't matter how good a condition you are, you're going to hurt somebody. But if they're not in top condition and you're just hitting the body in general, that's a good way to test their conditioning. Because if you're not in good shape and you get hit by some body shots, or even have some body shots hit your arm that drive a little bit into your body, it's going to reveal that conditioning or lack of conditioning. And that's going to allow you, for even in a 3-round amateur fight, I've seen it play out plenty of times, to break somebody down. So then in the 3rd round, they don't have any more legs. They're stable. They're stationary. And now you froze them, you locked them up, and guess what? Now you can go to town on their head if you want to. Or if you stick around for the last part, where I'm going to talk about the 7 ways to set this shot up, you set this shot up just right, we're going to get that liver, and we're going to sit him down.
Sit down!
All right, guys, so now here we're going to go into section 2, where I'm going to go over 14 tips on how to make this punch maximally effective. All the nuances, all the detail that you need to know. Not going to hold on on you. Now, guys, I thought about, like, man, should I wear gloves for this? Should I not wear gloves? And I was like, man, let me not wear gloves. Even though I have this chronic thing going on with my left knuckle here for whatever reason, and my middle finger, this thing. I was like, man, I need to show the placement, and gloves, they don't show that all the time. This is something that I was shown. So even though it's hurting, I'm doing this for you guys because I care about this and making sure you understand this the right way. First point is really macro. Sounds obvious, but it's not as obvious as you think because it holds you back. I see it hold a lot of people back. Just throw the punch, guys. Throw the punch. What do I mean? You have a lot of this folklore about with this punch where I've had people come to me that have trained other places and whatnot, and I'll say throw a left hook to the body, and they'll drop down, let's say, because, oh, I gotta throw the left hook to the body to drop down because that's what's gonna, make sure I don't get hit, right? I gotta drop down when I throw a body shot. Every time I throw a body shot. No, that's not the case. You can make an argument for a straight shot to the body you want to drop down on, so you don't just do this and do that, and so it just lines up, and there's almost no reason not to. But if you're always dropping down for this 3 of the body, you're making it pretty obvious that you're about to throw it, aren't you? Right? If I'm boxing somebody here, doing my thing, bam, bam, and then the moment I'm gonna go down for that body, I'm down there. That makes it obvious it's gonna come every time. Also makes me available for one of the great counters to this punch, which is the uppercut. So let's not do that. The best way this punch can be thrown is in a sneaky way, in a way that they don't expect it, or in a way that they're gonna expect the 3 up top because they're gonna raise up this arm a little bit too high. Bam, that's what we want. All right, so that big thing is just throw it. The other way that people talk about is, oh, you gotta, if I'm gonna be here working the bag, doing my thing right here, and I want to throw that punch, I gotta step over. If I step over, then I can do that shot because then I'm out of the way of the right hand, right? All this other stuff. And man, granted, it's like, I was planning out this video, and today I had a guy spar, and he was having trouble getting that hook wrapped around enough somebody's elbow as they were kind of bending like that. And yeah, in that situation, I told my boxer, hey, maybe step over a little bit so we can get around, because he was reaching, he was getting maximum range on that shot. I was like, hey, maybe just step around to get that shot. In that instance, yes, but as your automatic, that's my point, as your automatic, as your base way to throw this punch, if you have to step over before you shoot the punch, if you have to drop down to shoot the punch, if you have to do some crazy big slip like that, max slip, to throw this punch, you're going to diminish the likelihood of you throwing this punch, and it's not going to make it more effective. All right? Now, let's get into the nuts and bolts of throwing this 3 to the body, the left hook to the body, left hook to the body, no matter what stance you are. I'm going to wrap up last point talking about our Southpaw friends out there. Okay, now, in order to do this punch, if you are orthodox, you are going to be relatively sided up, and therefore, from that position, it's going to be hard to make any type of power by just doing that, right? And that's where this whole idea of turning the body or always stepping over so that I can do the shot comes into play. But what I need you to do is just a very slight opening. It could be from a punch. It could not be from a punch. It could even be from a jab, right? So I'm here and I do a slight opening on my jab like that, and that gives me affordance enough to get it coming around like that. But if I'm in my stance, sided up, like classic boxing stance, just this slight opening here is all I need. I don't need to go anywhere near beyond square with my shoulders. If anything, I don't even need to get square with my shoulders. I can get about here with it. And then from this position right here, I can get that shot to the body like that, coming around. Right from here, there it is. There it is. I'm not warmed up at all. All right, so from that position, a little bit open now, you could be saying, well, Coach Keith, it's going against what you talked about, where we don't want to go through a song and dance in order to throw the punch. You do need to open up, like I said, a little bit to get the punch, but not too much. But how does this not get obvious to people? Well, guess what? If you're mixing a little bit of head movement, things like that, and then sometimes you're here, you jab, right? Sometimes you're here, you lead with the right hand. You're here, moving the head a little bit like that, here. And again, we don't always need to lead with this punch. Like I talked about, we're going to go through a whole bunch of ways to set it up. But from here, I could lead with the punch. From here, I'm here, like that, and I get the shot off, right? All right, now, brings me to my third point, which is about making it effective, but also making it less obvious, right? Because again, it's not gonna be effective if it's freaking obvious. All right. Now, the best plan or the best weapon, if it doesn't have the proper delivery system, is pretty useless. The eyes, all the time. And I find I do it now that I'm out of practice with boxing. We look for the punch. We look at what we're hitting. We look down there, and your opponent can read that. You look down so you can hit it, and that's a problem. That's a problem. Am I going to say that means you're never going to land this punch? No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that it's going to give the little bit of a tell. It's also, frankly, in my opinion, it's actually going to make the punch not as great. I've noticed that when people keep their eyes on the center mass of the body with the chin down, the more they look down to the body to hit a body, the more it actually makes them lean forward, compromise their balance just a little bit, because this is a game of inches, a game of centimeters sometimes, that it's enough that it causes problems. So keep the eyes on the chest, so it looks like you're going to be jabbing the head, hitting up top, you're going to be doing the 3 up top, and then right from that position where you're looking eyes on the chest, that's where we're going to do that shot, like that. We're here, nice and relaxed, like that. Again, I'm here doing my punches. There we go, right? Eyes right there, he can't see it coming, right? And then only if you want to lie to them, right? Good boxers are good liars, or good bluffers, right? That's a better way to say it. Poker face, you don't let them know what's in your hand. You look down, then you hit up top. That type of thing, right? That's what you look for versus that's your default. Because also it's taking your eyes off the center mass of the body, which is going to allow you to better see punches coming. If you're looking over there to hit that, or to hit that shot right there to try to find it, then you're not going to see the other punches that are going to be coming as much, all right? Outside of everything else that I'm saying. Also as well, you might be saying, well, Coach Keith, I'm not going to know the aim. We're going to talk about the aim in a second, but also use your peripheral vision. A good athlete has good peripheral vision. It might not be good now if you just started boxing, but it'll get better with time. You don't have to look directly at the thing that you're doing every moment. The peripheral vision is what does that for you. And that's what you develop as a fighter. You're able to see movement without looking directly at it. All right, now going on to point number 4. Very important point here, massively important point with any hook. But of course, this shot, the giant killer, the punch that's gonna sit anyone down, that left hook to the body, hitting the liver, is the whip. Okay, if you keep this, if you do everything I'm talking about, position, everything else, and open up slightly to do this punch, and you keep all of this stiff or not whipping, then it's not gonna have the same type of pop. You can throw it nice and tight, compact, but if you don't let it get this little whip, and you watch all good hookers, not on the street, in the ring, all good hookers, they have that whip. Look at Roy Jones Jr., you look at Sugar Ray Robinson, you look at anyone that has a great hook. They have that slight whip. Does that mean they're always slanging it like that? No, it doesn't mean that. It means that even from this position here, where I'm right here, a little bit long range on it. I'm here, I get there's a little lead of my shoulder as the arm trails behind me just a touch. And then that allows me, see that, to get power right from there. I'm right from here, like that. Let me get my placement a little better, my relaxation a little better. So right from here, I have that little whip, like that, all right? And you see it's making a nice little dent in the bag. That's what we want. Now, going on, so remember, we gotta have that whip on the punch. And that's that relaxation. That's what that means. Because think about it, a whip is basically a rope-like material. And that's why it does a whip type motion. That arm is like a rope, it's relaxed, and it gets that whip of that force right at the end, and then you snap it at the end. All right, now that leads me to the position of when we're landing this punch. If you're landing this punch always like this with your palm almost facing down, and you're hitting with the big knuckles, right? That's not gonna be quite as good of a punch. It's not as much surface area, because when we're talking about boxing, we're not talking about bare knuckle boxing, we're not talking about all sorts of stuff that I don't know anything about. I know about this sport called boxing. We have wraps on, it's like a cast on your hand, and you have an 8-ounce, 10-ounce, or 12-ounce glove, or if you're sparring, you have a 14 or 16-ounce glove on your hand. You got that on your hand, then we want to hit with the blunt surface area of the glove. I was actually taking a little dive, because I said I was going to do it on Jack Dempsey's championship fighting book, right? And he was talking about the power line. I remember hearing about the power line and it being like whatever, because some things are folklore, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, he had a great point though. If you're, from like what I looked through looking into his stuff, man, is that if you put your, if you're planking on a fist, you don't plank on your big knuckle, you plank on the middle, right? The middle. And that's why maybe my, middle finger is hurting, is because, man, this, that's where we want to hit. And like, yes, it's fine to hit here too, but think about it, that's not quite as stable as right there. So in order to get that position, we want to go palm up with the punch. Palm up, or better said, the way that, my father talked about it, the way Chuck Bodak talked about it, palm facing you. See that? Right there. It's like you're reading something on your palm. That is your connection. The elbow is down. We're not trying to cock an elbow up. We are right here, a very good anatomical position, right? If I'm gonna hold something and look at it, I'm gonna hold it like that, probably not gonna do like this or some other weird thing, just like this, and then that connection point of a slight bend of the wrist and connecting. Now, as I get closer with this hook, as it's a little bit shorter, so let's say I'm on the inside here, like that, it becomes a little straighter, right? The wrist isn't bent at all. But the more length that I get to this hook, then the more I have to add just a little bend to it. Right, just a little bend to it here. So I'm here, palm is up, and this is how I get about my max range with that left hook to the body. So I'm here on this position here, ba-ba, here, ha, 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 ah, like that. Here, ah. Let me get it better. Bam, bam, ah, like that. That's about my max range, and I'm only getting that because I'm getting that slight bend to the wrist. I'm not going beyond the point, so I'm hitting with the top of the hand, and I'm gonna really hurt myself really badly. I'm also not hitting like this with the fingers, all right? This is fingers right here. This is knuckles. Fingers, knuckles, fingers, knuckles. And so often we'll get fingers. And man, you can still hurt somebody with that. I've seen plenty of times, you watch a slow motion replay of a fight, a guy will hit it like that and they're strong and it will still do some damage. But again, we're talking about how to make this punch maximally effective, all right? Like all great coaches talk about, great fighters talk about, hitting with the knuckles, right? Turning over the knuckles, whatever the phrase they use to say it, that is the key that takes you from being someone that has a little bit of on your punches to really, oh my gosh, these punches freaking hurt. And I've helped guys develop this time and time again. They go from slight finger hitters to knuckle hitters. Different time, man. Totally different field. All right, that's when you start hitting like a pro. Now, the squeezing, it adds to the whip, it adds to the placement, all of that. But if that squeezing is off, it's not gonna be quite as good, all right? So I'm here, and let's say I got my clinch before the connection happens, then it becomes more of a push. It can still be bothersome, it can still not feel good, it can still hurt people, it can still drop people. But to get the maximum snap and really the transfer of power of your body, that's where that ability to snap it to face you and to grab right at the point of impact is going to be key, right? So I'm right here on this position right here, got to be loose, right? Easy right here, and then from this position, like that, I can get a good pop just from that. Let's not move the bag so I cheat and have the bag run into my hand to maximize power, right? Let's just go right from here, like that. Yeah, let me try not to even breathe on it. Like that. See, buckling the bag just a little bit, right? So right from here, 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 I'm right here. And from that snap, it's all from the snap, the bending of the wrist, the whipping of the body. I'm here. There it is, here. Here again. All right. Gonna mess this hand up, but it's okay, guys. Doing it for a good cause. Now, getting that squeeze at the right time, instrumental. And you see great fighters. You watch some of the slow motions. Man, who was it? Oh, I think I saw it with Sonny Liston, where he was throwing a punch in, can't remember what fight it was, and you saw that grab right as he was about to hit, right on contact. Sonny Liston was a big puncher. Do you think that helped his punches? Yes, it did. Certainly did. All right, guys. Now, the next concept is to leave it. So often I see guys with body shots, they will hit it, and they'll scrape it off, right? They'll hit it, scrape it off. Hit it, scrape it off. Hit it, scrape it off, all right? And again, and am I gonna tell you that this punch is not gonna have any power, it's not gonna do anything, you're never gonna drop anybody with this punch if you do that? No, I'm not gonna tell that to you because that would be lying. Anyone tells you, hey, if you don't do this all the time, it's not gonna work, is probably lying to you, or just they aren't knowledgeable enough, right? Sometimes you need to know something in order to know what you don't know, or know where it doesn't apply, or know where the nuance and the minutia is. The world is not black and white, guys. The shades of gray. All right. So anyway, what I've found, what my father found, coaching fighters, is that when you get that idea of sticking this body shot, so once you hit it, you leave it there for a moment, you'll see your power max go up. All right, just try it on the bag, practice on the bag, versus kind of getting that pop coming off or pop sliding off like that. Just throw it and leave it for just a second. Let that fist transfer through their body. It's going to transfer through that organ, the liver, and it's going to hurt them really badly. All right, so remember that, have that idea where I'm here and I leave it. See that? I don't think I've been leaving it enough as I've been showing, guys, have I? And I haven't kept my eyes, so I'm focused on that because I'm out of practice here. Oh, man, now my left hook is coming back. All right, now, placement. Going on to point number 8, talking about our placement. Placement of this punch. I alluded to it earlier, but if you're throwing this punch too low, right, obviously if we do it on the belt line, right, so below the belly button, essentially, then that's technically illegal, right? Now you can freeze a hip up with it, and that's a whole nother video, right? You can hit someone, especially with the smaller gloves and with the nice, good pro wraps on, hit them hard in that hip, freeze that hip up. That's illegal. I'm not telling you to do that, but something that people do and you need to watch out for. And that is why having that thicker type cup is very important, particularly when you go pro, because if you don't have that thickness on the hip, man, somebody over, and because also too, if you're fighting 6, 8, 10, 12 rounds, man, someone freezes that hip up on you, I would hate for you to progress really far as a pro, get to the opportunity where you're actually fighting an 8-round fight, and then somebody freaking cracks you on that hip a few times really nicely and freezes you up, all right, and shuts that whole leg down, and really just, man, it's not a fun time. But we want to hit the legal place when we're going for the liver, because we're not talking about freezing people. We're talking about dropping them, right? We're here to stop anybody, right? To work on this punch. The left hook is going to stop anybody when we do it right. Now, getting it right is to get it high enough on the body, right? If we throw a little bit too low, there's too much muscle here. Think about your obliques and things like that. And also that liver's not down there, right? We got to raise it up a little bit around that floating rib area, a little bit right behind it or right on it in that section. Now, you might be saying, Coach Keith, well, that's hard to get, because what I see happen oftentimes is guys will be like this and they'll want to drop lower and lower and lower with the punch to try to go below the arm. Well, guess what? You can't just keep going if the arm's there, right? If it's not there, it's not there, but you can make it be there. And we'll talk about that in the setup section. But that's just the big thing I want you to focus on, is make sure your aim is correct. Don't throw it for the shoulder. Don't throw it, too low. You got to throw it right for where it's supposed to be. And of course, there's many ways to set it up. 7 ways that I'm going to talk about in this video. Of course, there's much more. Now, let's talk about number 9, going across or slightly up, all right? So with this punch, we want to focus, like I talked about, with sticking and leaving it, transferring it straight through the back, out the other end. That's what I prefer, all right? The classic thing a lot of people talk about is to slightly go up with the punch. And yes, that is good. That is good. It's not going to show well on a bag, right? Maybe, I guess, if you could kind of arc the bag or catch it as it's up like this, like that. Ooh, nice. I'm getting it back. I'm getting it back. The coming up a little bit can help catch the liver a different way, the ribs a different way, and it can be really effective. But at the very least, coming across or coming slightly up with the punch. And that leads me on to point number 10 though, okay? So that was point number 9. Make sure you come across or slightly up with the punch. Don't compromise balance, form, and things like that. Don't come slightly down with it. There's not much need for that, where you're trying to hit more with your big knuckle and crap like that. No. It's not going to do the same thing. It's not going to do the same thing you want it to do, all right? There's only maybe one situation I think of where that could possibly be a good option, all right? Now, what we need to watch out for, if you are used to, because I get a lot of people, I'll see them, they're here with it, maybe they'll do their slip, whatever, and then they're gonna shoot this shot kind of up, right? And it's a great punch. But the challenge is, what happens sometimes if that's always your default and your guy got some spiky elbows, and you got his elbow out just a little bit, you're gonna run right into that elbow with your fist or with the median nerve of the wrist, okay? And you hit this sucker hard or you hit that sucker hard on someone's elbow, I don't care if you have a good wrap on or whatever, it's gonna cause you problems, all right? So that's why I recommend getting good at being able to just come right across with this punch. So from here, right across, right across, right across, right across, right across, all right? Yes, we can go slightly up with it. That's good too. That's good too. But watch that real hard drop and come up and that default, because I've seen it cause problems. I've had guys with hand problems, guys with wrist problems. I tell them, hey, stop shooting that shot from down there. Also, it can take more time, and you can make an argument for, hey, well, I'm going to drop down and I can catch the shot up top, or drop down and then shoot it right from there. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But again, if I'm in this position right here and he doesn't know what I'm about to do, if I'm about to do a head hook up top or like that, it's a harder punch to see, versus if I'm here with it and here, boom, here, boom, right? You can kind of see it coming up, all right? Now, leads me on to point number 11. Let's show them our back. Now, for those of you guys that know boxing, you're like, what the hell are you talking about? You're saying, do I need to turn my back on someone? I'm saying in a sense you do, in a sense, because oftentimes we don't do that or don't get close to doing that enough, all right? So what do I mean by this? That's the follow through, gang. That's the follow through. If I shoot a left hook and I miss it and I just end up like that, boom, like this with my shoulders, here, that is not my max power on it. Now, granted, if you're a hard hitter, you got a good grip on you, and you got the good snap, that can be enough to hit somebody's liver, get it right, put him down, take him out. That can be enough. It can really be enough. But I'm assuming maybe you're someone that isn't just, you don't have that natural born power, as they say, and we're working on maximizing it, right? I've taken many guys from complete powder puff hitters where they couldn't break an egg to freaking breaking a damn rock. All right, and I want to help you do the same thing, and we're going to do that by following through, by over rotating. You could say, and you can say, "Oh, Coach Keith's going to open you up for counters and blah 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 blah." Yes, well, guess what, my friend? Anything you do in boxing can open you up for something else. Anything. Name me one thing you can do that doesn't open you up for something else. There isn't. That's why the sport is great. All right, so we want, though, to have the intentionality to follow through, to show the bag a little bit or your opponent a little bit of your butt, right? To follow with the hip. Act like it's a really extreme shoulder roll. Because also, too, guess what? If you miss this punch, you can use your shoulder to block a shot after that, or bob under, or catch, or just a lot of things. You can step out after that. There's a lot of things you can do. You're almost never stuck in a position where you can't do anything. All right? And if you're in a position where you think you can't do anything, guess what? It just means you haven't learned enough yet. Keep on studying. There's answers, guys. All right. So have that intentionality. If I'm throwing on the bag, here, I'm following through that much. I'm showing the bag. I'm shooting my opponent. I'm showing my opponent, my butt, my hip. I'm following through maximally. Just like you'd follow through with a maximum 2 or right hand, you want to follow through with that maximum hook. Have the intentionality to do that, because again, like we talked about earlier, we want to have that fist go through the body, through the liver, and come out the other side, right? If that happened, that's going to stop anybody. So let's do that, all right? So again, let's say I'm here, and I have that intentionality to follow all the way through. Oh, wow. Look at that. I think my punch just got harder. What do you guys think? Because when I started doing this video, I didn't warm up. I didn't do any shadow boxing. I didn't do any rotation like that. Practice your rotation, all right? Show them your back. Show them your hip. I'm here. Follow through. Maximum follow through. Here. Maximum follow through. I'm here. Man, one more time. Let me just get that back still so I don't cheat. Right? Here. Oh, love it, man. Doesn't it feel good when you snap? All right. Now, let's talk about the foot pivot. Right? As you see, I am pivoting my foot. Right? Is that absolutely necessary all the time? No, it's not. It's not. Again, it's another lie, or not lie, but misconception, really, because I think people lie when they do it purposely, but it's more often than not, it's because of just unconscious bias and consistency effects of you've said it one time, you heard it one time from your coach, and you just repeat it, you never thought about it. All right. You can throw hard punches and not pivot. Okay, you can throw hard punches and rotate and snap and not pivot your feet. Okay, and even get the hips engaged a little bit. Now, yes, there's going to be more stress on the knee. Yes, there's going to be more likelihood that you're actually going to have the foot slide up or slide across because you're not releasing. The purpose of the pivot is to release the hip that releases your shoulder to turn. Now, again, like I've had boxers, they'll do this type of thing where they'll go like that, like that. And they're not getting maximum power because they're just turning the foot and they're not turning the shoulders. No intentionality to turn. Versus you cannot turn this at all and turn this hard all the way through, show them your back like I'm talking about, and make big power. So I'm here, right, see that? One more time, I'm here, I make big power like that because I'm doing the whole purpose of this thing. I'm putting my body with the punch, right? But again, for instance, the balance and things like that, the releasing the foot can be very helpful. Isn't necessary. It's not as necessary, in my opinion, as the shooting the 2 or pivoting on the 2. Why? Because the 2 is already back here. The hip is typically more sided up. So therefore, as I turn everything, it gets stuck by this foot unless it releases a little bit. Versus this hip is already slightly like that. So guess what? I don't have to actually release it, really. And I definitely don't have to release it as much. And then it can be allowed to turn quite a bit with minimum foot pivot or almost no foot pivot, just turning because you're already almost showing them your back. All right? So, but play with it. I definitely recommend practicing being able to pivot. And as my dad would coach it, pivot when you got them on the ropes, when you got them stuck, when they're in a position where they're not going to go anywhere and you don't have to worry about the movement too much. That's where you can really sit down, quote unquote, and really release those hips, especially for this body shot. Because guess what, gang? We hit even an arm, we're gonna lock them up for a second, right? And if not, get the shot. Maybe even still hurt them through that. If you've hurt someone with the left hook to the body and you caught it clean one time and it didn't put them down, like I'm telling you it can do, if you hit that same shot again and hit the arm even and do that enough, you can still put them down. You really can. All right? Seen it happen. All right. So now going on to the 13th and then the 14th point. All right. So the 13th point, we're going to talk about avoid moving the hips over though. Okay, so we're rotating, we're pivoting if we need to, whatever. I don't care what you do, really. You know, we can work on all these nuances when you're in the gym, but let's not shoot the hips out. There's no reason for that. There's no help. And I see guys will do that. They'll shoot that left hook and they'll go, wow, like that. Like they're humping somebody right there, right? They'll do this number. There's really no need for this. It's not very helpful. Let's turn. Let's almost dig into it as opposed to slinging like this where your body mass is going this way and the hips are going out, all right? That's point number 13. And then point number 14, let's talk about southpaws, all right? Southpaws with the left hook, right? I don't give southpaws enough love, even though I work with guys that are southpaws and guys that switch between the two, all right? So we're here, we're in our southpaw position. Now, this shot is going to be harder to get if you're fighting an orthodox. Now, if you're fighting another southpaw, that side of the body is going to be up on you. So, you know, that's going to be their lead thing, because right now my lead thing is right there. My liver's right out in the open to be taken. There's this too now. But if the orthodox is going to be a little bit further back here, so that's where you really got to be able to be good at getting this extension I'm talking about and reaching around, not whining and not throwing it from, you know, out the back door or from the freaking parking lot, and being able to just drop it in there, boom, like that. So I'm here, like that. Now the benefit though, you as a southpaw, is that you can get theoretically more power with it, right? Because theoretically, if you're southpaw, this is probably a strong hand, but at the very least, if it's not, then you at least have more opportunity to rotate more easily through your body with the punch to dig it. But that's all it is. Foot placement. Yeah, we can get the foot outside the lead foot to get it, but sometimes foot inside the lead foot is going to be the time to get it, all right? It's going to be a time to get it, and particularly if you're setting up with those twos and you shovel with the shot. We'll talk about some of those things later. Then we can come around and we can get that shot as a southpaw. But the big things to watch out for is don't drop and shoot it. Drop it as you shoot. And the same thing goes when we're orthodox. If I'm here in my position, whatever, here, let's say I catch a shot and I just drop it in. I don't drop it and then throw it. Same with this one here. I don't drop, you know, I don't work this technique wise. Now, if it happens in a fight, is it gonna ever work? Yeah, it might work. But I don't drop and shoot. I go right from here and drop it in as the arm is rotating. So it almost takes a path from here and then to here. But once it gets there, then it's going through. It's not going down further. It goes from here, it drops down as I rotate, and it makes that connection point, and that's it. And I have that wrist bend. If it's a longer punch, I throw it from this range here. It's not gonna be my all the way out straightest range, obviously, because that's not hook range. It's gonna be a little more of a bent arm punch. I can tell that from my jab position. Then from here, like that, we can get the liver. Now let's go on to section number 3. All right, guys, now we're gonna talk about 7 ways to set up the left hook to the body. I'm gonna try to go between orthodox and southpaw so we can be nice to our southpaw friends out there. All right, guys. Now, I would be remiss though if I didn't give you another point on top of all the 14 that I just went through on how to make more power and make the left hook to the body more effective and maximally effective. It's something that, just like my father, where he strived to find any way he could to help a fighter learn how to hit harder, because at the end of the day, we have seen in recent times someone who's maybe not quite as good of a boxer throw a very hard punch, a very hard left hook, and be able to give someone that on paper probably should have beat them a lot of trouble and beat them and drop them, okay? Power is the great equalizer, they say. You can be losing a whole fight and you got the power, it's gonna be helpful. So, the last thing though, I wanna talk about before we talk about 7 ways to set up the left hook to the body is one more thing about the power. I want you to think about sometimes swinging the body with the punch, almost hopping with the punch, right? And hopping with a left hook to the body, that can feel pretty darn weird, but trust me, getting that, and what the point of it is that you're not rising up, you are just letting the feet leave the ground ever so slightly so that you can get more turn. That's the idea. Ever so slightly so you can get more turn. All right, so I'm not doing this with the punch or something like that. I'm just not letting the feet ground my rotation, all right? So literally flinging all of your body weight with the punch. So I'm here, let's say, and do my thing here, ba, 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 here, ba, ba, like that. I'm gonna let my body swing with it. Leave the ground for a second. And man, Try it out. It has a lot of power to the punch. A lot of power. Keep the chin down as always, all the basic stuff. That's just a big tip. And then, heck, just to give you another one, guys, before we get into how to set this thing up, okay? I'm sorry for slowing down how to set it up. You can almost step over with the punch and create more power that way as well. So I'm here a little bit and they step slightly over on you, or you happen to do that thing I said that don't worry about earlier, but you happen to be over there or whatever, and then you step over with the punch. It's a beautiful thing. Like that. So almost kind of mixing that, leaving the ground while not going up in altitude and gliding across the floor. That's the way to think about it, is to glide across the floor, not going up, all right? That's what people say, don't hop with punches and things like that, because we're talking about don't do stuff like this. All right, now let's talk about the 7 ways to set it up. There's more ways to set it up. I'm just giving you 7 basic ways that are very effective and they allow you to land this punch a lot more than you land it right now. If not, maybe almost land it all the time. All right, guys. So the first one, very important concept, but the most important concepts are in the foundations and the fundamentals. You have a good hard jab and you have a good hard left hook up top. Now they're concerned with this altitude. All right. Once they're concerned with that altitude, all we got to do is let them forget that there's something down there, and then we go for it and we get it. All right. Basic setup, right? So I'm here. I got a good jab on me, let's say, and I'm snapping that jab here, making them think about something here. I'm here, and I get the shot like that, right? I'm here, or I'm doing the big 3. I maybe do a little step in with the 3 with my chin down here, like that. He's thinking about that 3 here. I'm here, and then when I want, I'm like that. Very hard to see. All right, now the next one is to go high-low. This is an excellent one, guys. So we do that left hook up top, we do the left hook down low. And now remember the same thing, by the way, going back to that first point. I'm here, let's say I'm here, boom, get him thinking up here, even with my jab, and then boom, just keeps him occupied. I'm here, keep him occupied, here, like that. All right, now high-low, guys, high-low. Get him picking the guard up high, and that's gonna open up the pocket. That now you don't feel like you need to go as low for the liver, because the liver's not any lower than it is. So you're getting the hand up high, maneuvering it up high, so you can get it. All right, guys. So again, setting up off of hard left hooks up top, then you can just touch up top and dig. So I'm here, let's say, doing my thing here, like that. Or you can dig both of them, guys. Freeze the arm up there. It can still work. This will work more often, because you'll touch, dig, and then one of the keys to that, guys, is to leave it out. I hit it, leave it out, relax, and then right from here, whip it so I can get the punch from there. And you make power. I get it right from here, relax, whip it, and get it in. All right, so I'm here, like that. And that's gonna allow you to get it before the elbow can go down. Or if you drive hard power here, then it can freeze the arm up and keep it up for a moment so you can get it down there. So I'm here, like that, all right? Thinking defensively afterwards, here. Next one is the left uppercut for the body. And then after that, we're gonna come around, right? So, hey, let's talk about our southpaw friends first, guys, because this is a hassle punch, right? If you're opposite stance, and so let's say I'm southpaw and he's orthodox, wide open for me is this shot for the body, right? And I'm cocked to make power with it. So I'm here in my position, we're maybe a little bit more inside, doing my thing here, like that. And I get that shot here, like that. Now, I just land a couple of shots, probably gonna land them, number 1, but just make them feel a little bit. Now the elbows are gonna start to creep forward. So now, just like high-low, I can just touch, boom, come around. So I'm here, doing my thing, boom, maybe working the body on the other side here, like that, coming around, get the shot here, like that. One way, or I can dig both, or I can just get him thinking about that shot. So I'm maybe here. Great way to do it is off of this lead hook up top. I do my 3 up top, and then off of that 3 up top, it cocks me a little bit. Boom, I can get that shot. So I get here, I set up a pattern like that. Then next, I'm here, come around with the left hook to the body. All right, now orthodox, same dealio though, guys. So I'm here, shots coming up the middle, and I go bam, up the middle, wrap around, right? So here, doing my thing, boom, boom, here, boom, like that. Wrapping around the middle. Let me get that back still for a second, because opponents don't always move like bags. I'm here, doing my thing, I get inside a little bit, more of an inside shot from here with this, So here, boom, and then boom, wrap it around. I'm here, boom, ha! Moving on to number 4 is we're gonna talk about the show high drop low, all right? So with this one, this is a sneaky one that I love. You can do it southpaw. It's gonna be a little bit more dangerous to do really, but I'm gonna show high up top, drop it down low, right? So from here, you're doing your thing, whatever, and you show like that. You just put that arm right there. You can think of it almost as that classic setup where you go out here with a right, like you're gonna do a big right hook or something, and you do an uppercut, or you do a body shot off of that. Of course, that's another way to set it up, just to add 8 ways to set up. But we're gonna do that on the same side. So I'm here doing my thing. Maybe you did a pretty big left hook before that, right? You're here, like that, and then you show, and you dig it, and you get it. All you gotta do is show it, they go out the block, boom, you take the shot. Very hard one to stop, very hard one to stop. Of course, watch out for counters as we do all of these things. Don't just zone out, you gotta be watching the whole time. All right, now, next one is we're gonna talk about doing it off of the right. Right, so obviously, just doing it off the right hand. The 1, 2, 3, now there's a couple of things to consider with this, right? So let's say we do a right, it's probably gonna be a shorter right, like a straight right. So I'm here, and I'm coming off line with it, up high, and then I get from there, I wrap around with that body shot. So I'm like that, coming around here, like that. Now, I could also do it from a longer range, and I could still possibly land it from here and get a max range on that left hook to the body. So I'm here, let's say, boom, boom, right? But I could also be max long range and do a very slight step with the left hook to the body, all right? So I'm here, max range here, boom, here, and I'm gonna go boom, boom, and off of that, I'm gonna go hard, and so the back's gonna swing a little bit, so now I gotta come after him, boom. Because a lot of times when people are exiting, if they're a good fighter, they'll think about keeping their hands up, they'll think about staying a little bit lower, but sometimes the body will be right there for you, and they don't even know it's right there, all right? Or right open, right? So I'm here, let's say, like that, stepping in with that body shot. I'm here, and we can get that shot. Now, we're gonna talk about doing it off of the right uppercut, all right? So now think about it, if we're southpaw, for our southpaw friends, we're here, we do the right uppercut for the body, and again, that comes around, because you get coming up the middle, get the elbows creeping forward a little bit more, boom, and then we come around for that body shot. All right, now orthodox, even better, we're here with the uppercut. You can just do it as a throwaway punch or put some pop on it, either one. Because if you do think you're gonna land it, you snap their head up, you control them up, you rise them up, it's gonna open up the body. Or if you just do it as a throwaway, it might cause them to clamp forward a little bit with the elbows, and that's what gives us that avenue in the opening to get it, all right? So let's do it as a throwaway punch. So I'm here, like that. I'm here, like that, all right? Or if you do it as the real thing, I'll do it like, a lot of times I talk about throwing uppercuts on the back, purposely missing, so you get the follow through, right? So you pretend like you snapped his head up and popped it all the way up. So I'm here, let's say, like that. So you got the follow through. I'm here, like that. All right, now, next one, the last one, number 7. Technically number 8, because I talked about another one earlier. But number 7 for our list, we're gonna talk about just the slip and the dig, all right? So you're here, and you expect a jab or right hand, it doesn't matter, and you are going to slip over there in good position, dig that shot. I recommend from here, you can do a slight step as you slip, and we only go to shoulders open. We don't go beyond that. There's no need for it. It's gonna cost you more time, because you just cost them time from that missing. And like I talked about in the head movement video, if you slip beyond that point, like you're shooting a big powerful 2, you're just costing yourself more time for no more reward. From my experience, in my opinion, we're not gonna make much more power, if any more power, if we're not throw it correctly, from rotating this much as opposed to about this much, all right? So I'm here doing my thing. Let's say I'm expecting the right hand or the jab, or I'm even trying to bait it by going like this. That right hand comes, I slip it, and I maybe step in slightly with it, or depending on my ranges, I'm a little bit longer than him, whatever. I'm here, the right hand's out. I gotta take it while the elbow is still up. While that arm is still up, I gotta take the body. If I wait too long, rotate too long, he's gonna come back with his left hook probably, if he's orthodox, and I'm gonna miss the opportunity to get that shot, right? So I'm here doing my thing. Maybe I'm inviting a right hand like this, and like that. Get that shot real nice. All right, that's the 7 ways to set it up. There are more ways, But these are some of the easiest ones to get and the ones that are going to work 9 times out of 10. All right, guys, now that we've talked about why you need to throw the hook to the body, the left hook to the body, the liver shot, we talked about the 14 ways, if not more than 14 ways of how to maximize its power. And then lastly, we talked about 7, really more than 7 ways to set up the shot to make sure it lands almost all the time. The next thing you need to do is watch this video on how to develop old school defense, the styles, the ways that my father showed me, that was shown to him, and that I've shown my fighters on how to develop some of the most precise and nuanced defense that you need in order to not only have great offense and have this great punch that can stop basically anybody, but also how to make sure that none of these punches stop you. By the way, if you like this video, make sure you click like, subscribe, comment, all of that. It really helps the channel. But also, big way to help the channel is I'm out here late at night. You can buy me a cup of coffee. How can you do that? You can do that with a super thanks. Just go down below, click that heart button with the $sign. Have a lot of people, they'll drop $5, $10, $15, $20. Really helps out a lot and helps me produce more of these videos, guys. Really appreciate your support, and I'll see you on the next one. Make sure you watch that video on developing old school defense.